Well, welcome back to the news today. This is One on One. Well, Nir Baram is an Israeli author and publicist, but he was born into a family of well-known politicians. Both his grandfather and father were ministers for the Israeli Labor Party. His books, The Remaker of Dreams and Good People, were shortlisted for Israel's Sapir Prize for Literature. Good People has been translated into 10 languages. In 2010, Baram won the Prime Minister's Award for Hebrew Literature and was shortlisted for the Rome Prize for Literature. A lot of awards there. Nir, thank you for joining us.
Just shortlisted.
Shortlisted, but in the mix involved.
It's very known that the one who wins the award is the average book. The shortlist is the most important thing.
All right. Well, hey, congratulations on your shortlist. Absolutely. Well, let's talk about one of your recent works, World Shadow. I think it's your most recent book from this last year. An instant bestseller, really. I think you've appealed to something that's, I don't know if to say a popular narrative, but a theme that people are intrigued by, a shifting world order, a vision of something different that changes things. What led you to this theme in the book?
Well, I was very interested in the capitalist order and the capitalist logic for a long time. And after Good People, it was a book about the Second World War, I wanted to write something contemporary about my generation. And mainly the book deals with young people who goes out to the world with all the passion and energy and political thinking of young people and try to do some shift in the global order. And I think the book, what's interesting in World Shadow, it tries to understand the logic of capitalism as well as the logic of all the people who try to destroy capitalism. So it's not just a manifest against the system, it's in a way trying to understand the last 30 years of capitalism in the West through different plots.
You come from a political family. Obviously, I don't know if it's inescapable for you to sort of enter the world, or with your, your perspective, obviously shaped by that. How was it growing up, or with such political roots in the family? How did that affect your work now and at the beginning of your career?
Well, it's something that you don't pay attention when you are young, because it seems very natural that all the conversation in dinner are about politics, and that you understand very mild details about politics in US and UK and Israel when you're 10 or 12.
And in Israel, that's a charged issue. Politics is not a quiet story.
But it's a way to understand the world. Understand it's not just politics. It's also like, let's say, the Marxist tradition in my family. So it's a way to understand economy, and a way to understand also sociology. And it's something that I always think about when I come to different places with Good People, with the book, to Mexico, to Colombia. I see that my political instincts are very focused in the new society, to understanding through political tools. So I think it's all, and it's very evident and very natural that also in my work as an author, I will be very involved in politics.
Very interesting. Elections, inescapable. We have to talk about politics here for a minute. Election season has just really officially begun in Israel, early elections in just a few months. What's your impression of what's played out before us here?
I think that many people talk about the election and say that it came very soon, it's not the time. I think it's very important elections, and I think that Netanyahu, in a way, to some extent, Netanyahu as a political leader in Israel is in total decline. This is something maybe you don't see right now, but I think that until March, Netanyahu will be finished as prime minister. But I think that the left side in Israel is not strong enough. But if you ask me, I think that the next prime minister will be somewhere along Kahlon, Lieberman, or maybe even Yitzhak Herzog. It's very interesting to see the resentment to Netanyahu, not in the liberal camp, also in his camp, growing and growing every day. And I think that it will be very interesting elections.
Well, you're the voice of a young generation here in Israel, really a cultural representative. How influential do you feel this young generation is now in politics? Very interested, very concerned about the situation, improving the quality of life. I mean, this has been a major theme of the last election campaign, and now too the sort of the cost of living in Israel. How strong of a voice is this generation?
Well, we know that in the West, usually, traditionally, young people tend to the left side. In Israel, it's exactly the opposite, which is very interesting. I think that the young people in Israel are more nationalistic than the older generation. They are very focused in the Jewish thing, the Jewish tradition, not the religious, but Jewish justice, Jewish persecution.
More than the previous generation?
I think they are more, they are less, let's say, their view is less Israeli as a democratic state and more focused in the Jewish rights, which I think is a problem. This is why they go to Bennett, because he introduced them to some Jewish vision that they feel very connected to. This is the failure of the left, by the way, who didn't convince them that we need to create a multicultural Israeli society for all the different ethnic groups. So I think it's a problem in Israel. And so the young people are very, let's say, social democratic when it comes to economy, but they are very nationalistic when it comes to politics, which is kind of contradiction in the West, but not in Israel.
So you think that it's to some degree a failure of the left to engender a different perspective from this new generation?
I think even, I sometimes feel this failure myself as a writer, as a publicist, that, the vision of Israel as a fearless, democratic for all the different ethnic groups is not something that we could convince most of the people, especially young people, to believe. And the side that talk all the time about the Jewish rights and the Jewish nationalistic idea won this battle, especially among young people. I meet young people all the time, secular, that go to Bennett and to his party, not because of any religious idea, only because the sort of national idea that he offered to them.
I have to ask, have you felt any pressure or thought about entering politics yourself?
Well, nobody really pressured me, but there's some. When I was younger, I was thinking about it, but I became a writer because this is the thing I love to do. I don't think I'll be very successful as a politician. I don't think that my views are exactly lined up to any specific party. And by the way, I feel sometimes that I can influence society as a, let's say, involved intellectual more than some of the politicians in Israel.
Well, many of the politicians, new politicians especially, have come from similar backgrounds, perhaps not even as strong of a political background as you, writers, journalists. You come from a family of politicians.
Well, you want the honest answer.
Yes.
I promised my mother, she died when I was 19, that I will never be a politician. And I don't see any reason to break this promise, especially when I don't have any glorious offer to do so. I mean, if someone will ask me to be the president of the U.S., maybe I will consider it.
I don't know. That's not the most attractive job in politics. I would have to opine there. But
by the way, it's not.
You found a way to stay involved. You're not saying, well, I'm sidelined. I don't want to be involved in the course of society. You're saying as a voice, as an author. You found a way that you feel you are influencing the situation.
I think that it's important that intellectuals and writers will be involved. I don't believe that there is anything like non-political entity. I think we're all political entity, and you need to have the courage to express your opinions, and you need to have an opinions, by the way. And I think that I try to influence society from my position, and I think that I always encourage writers and intellectuals from different fields to be involved and to write. I think, we are now in the middle of a very important battle on the future of Israel as a society.
Are you concerned about what you see, the direction that you see the country heading? I know you've been very against the recently proposed national bill that would define Israel as a Jewish state. You've come out against that. Are you concerned by where the country's headed?
All the time. I think that the main problem is that, we in Israel, because of Netanyahu, by the way, but not just because of him as a society, we look at history all the time. We always feel that we are one step away of Auschwitz. We are in 1938. I don't see Israel as a society. We are a very strong society, by the way, strong economy. I don't see that this strong society take risks, believe in the future, try to envision new future, try to change its destiny, try to do something bold in order to create a different state. I see that we are now in this fear, under this fear, existential fear all the time, in a very fearful society, and I think it's a mistake. I think that we have a lot of we have the ability, and we have also the resources to change the course of Israel. For example, we don't have borders, right? Israel don't have borders.
Not clearly defined.
If you talk to Israelis, you will ask them, in 30 years from now, will you have one state, two states, the current situation? Nobody knows. So I think that we need this courage to try to build our future, not just, talk about the Holocaust and stay focused in the past.
So sort of move on from the past. You feel the country has not done that yet. There's a lot to support that.
I feel that the Holocaust became like a fear machine in the Israeli society. And I think, as someone who wrote a book about the Second World War and know the Holocaust very well, I think it's a crucial mistake in the way that we grasp ourselves to think about the Jews right now in Israel inside the context of the Holocaust story.
Nir Baram, very, very interesting. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's all for today's show. Thank you for being with us. I'm David Matlin. We'll see you tomorrow.